Hello everyone, and welcome back to Insights with Sujay, episode 11 and week 11. And today we have a very big special guest with us, Miss Surabhi Hodigere, who has completed her master's in Harvard, Kennedy, USA, and now she is politically active with the BJP. Welcome to the show, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Sajay. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, ma'am. Firstly, I wanted to ask you, you have done your master's in the Harvard Kennedy. So, how does it feel to come back to India and then, getting in the political party?
No, I'm glad you started with that uh, conversation because we're seeing a lot of young people travel abroad to different countries for education, also for job opportunities. So sometimes it does become a little, weird when somebody studies probably in what is called the best university of the world and chooses to come back to India. I think this way that I see it is that there was a lot of economic opportunity to go to the US. There was a lot of economic opportunity elsewhere. But the reason as to why I decided to do what I was doing, which was public policy, which was politics, which was public service, was because I wanted to serve my country. And when I was sitting in these universities, or even much before, so I had decided by the time I was 17 years old, that was a
Oh,
good
that's
decade and a
great.
half ago, that I wanted to do something for the public good. And when I did go to the university, I remember in every class, whether we were talking about a case study in Europe, whether we were, looking at the food stamps and unemployment insurance system in the US, I would always think about India and say, is this something I can implement there? Is this something we can do there? Now, having said that, I don't want to make it seem like it is rosy because a lot of people are genuinely economic migrants because they want a better quality of life, better income opportunities, and that is rightfully so, right? There was a lot that I had to sacrifice in terms of the amount of money I could make. And I come from a middle class home where it was very common to do engineering and then your MS
Yeah.
and settle abroad. I don't want to say it's rosy, but let me tell you, in the last few years, in the last 10 years, what I have seen is one, there is this increase in the pride as well as belonging, as well as this sense of duty that we should be doing something for our own country. One, and second, what we saw as the West and the opportunities that come with the West have diminished to a great extent. H-1B visa, getting that lottery is not easy. Second, what is it that you are trading for that quality of life? The loneliness that comes with being away, not have being able to make the same sort of friend circle, community that we are so used to here in India. And I think the third one, which to me, when I put on my, beyond my passion and my logical, I need to pay my student loan, what am I going to do hat, was that the economic opportunity in India is second to none. If you have expertise in particular domains that are very niche and have only certain areas of scope, then maybe getting a job is tougher. But I think overall economic opportunity in terms of good employment, meaningful employment exists in India. For me, and mine is a slightly specialized field, but for me, we were studying how to use technology for public service delivery. And all the case studies had Aadhaar in them, had UPI related something. And I told myself, I'm like, what am I doing? The innovation is in India. When I came back, actually, I came back with one bag to visit my family.
Oh,
That's it. I was waiting for my employment card. I was waiting for my employment card. I said, what am I going to do there? It would just be costly to spend the summer there when you were not yet employed. So I said, okay, let me come here. My job was to start in September or so. I hadn't accepted the offer. The offer was on the table. So I came back. I was waiting for my employment card. I came here and I saw the energy. I saw the aspiration. I saw the hunger and the thirst to do something. The startups in Bengaluru, the pace at which they are going, the ambition that everybody here has, and we are looking at an India that has the ambition to enter global markets. Based in India, enter global markets. So when I saw that, I said, this is where I should be. So it was, I always knew 2 3 years, of course, because I wanted to be in politics. I always knew I'd come back. But that short-term decision of coming back right after graduation was driven by the economic opportunities in my field and what I was able to see.
So yeah, ma'am. So you have told about the innovation. Adding to your point on that, more than entering into the global market, the local market itself is so vast. As we take example of Zepto
Yeah.
or Delivery, you see, Zepto is something that delivers you very fast. That is because people are hunger to get it delivered very fast. So whereas I've seen some of the Western countries where these facilities aren't available, I was so surprised when one of my cousin told me that we don't have Zepto there. We have to go and buy it from groceries from the grocery shop. I thought India is coming up in some next level. So in next question is like, why did you choose to join the BJP itself?
Sure, but I just want to talk to you a little bit about what you mentioned, right? I think we pat our back saying that, oh, in India, everything is very convenient. It always has been to a great extent. We've had our kirana stores, we've had our kaka angri. We've always had convenience in our local markets. And now what has happened is because we're a labor surplus economy and the fact that, 50% or so still are transitioning from agriculture elsewhere to services and industry, there is a surplus of labor. We are a country of 140 crore people, and therefore there is a surplus of labor. The fact that a Zepto exists, the fact that delivery fees is low, the fact that we were able to get everything at our convenience should not be the end goal. It is the beginning. What is that supposed to do? That is supposed to ensure that productivity of people who are taking these services increases. One, we shouldn't become lazier because
Definitely.
everything is available, right? And the second thing is that these gig workers are, there's a great amount of employment being generated through gig work. We need to provide more protections, and I believe this government has worked in that direction. We need to provide protections. They need to enter the formal economy. There's a great study by the SBI, the State Bank of India, that's come out on how there has been an increased pace of formalization of jobs. We have been an economy that has had severe crisis in terms of unorganized labor. We don't know how many people are doing what type of work outside the organized sector. So this formalization of jobs means that on top of that, you're able to give them benefits of work, insurance, protections. These sort of things are the next step. So great that we are able to have all of these services and everything delivered. And I think the added layer to that is that we need to make sure that innovation also goes beyond service based companies such as this, and product based companies are also thriving, because that's truly where the market that's where the market does best, that's where your investment does best, and that's also happening to a great extent, right? While we pat our backs on a many aggregators, we should also see their books. We should also make sure that is it profitable or not, what is driving the profit. The thing that, to me, what stands out in India, and this is something that the global audience as well as a lot of Indian audience we miss, what has your UPI done? What has your Aadhaar linked services done? It's not that there has been one thing given and that's it. Through Aadhaar, you are getting DBT, direct benefit transfer of particular scheme. Through Aadhaar, you can get a Geo SIM faster. Through UPI, there are now, you can pay from one place to the other. But even if you're a small business, you can ensure that there is a payment gateway, right? You don't need to go through the elaborate process. So your e-commerce is faster. India's model of technology led development is an opportunity for every young person, for every startup to innovate around that, to make sure that they're using UPI, they make sure they're using ONDC to provide better services. So that is a moment of opportunity. So the more, more, and hyperlocal delivery, this is the name of the game now, right? The more all of that becomes easier, not just in financial transactions, but in e-commerce, in across different sectors, I think the more opportunity we should be seeing as young people.
Yes, ma'am. So the question which I've asked you,
Yeah, why did I join the BJP?
BJP.
Sorry. So as you see, right, Sujay, uh, I have two passions in my life, and I think one has been the political world. Just this morning, I'm coming from a protest. We got arrested and went to the police station, protested, all of that. And right now I'm sitting here and I'm talking to you about my other passion, which is technology, entrepreneurship, and policy. Um, I'll tell you why these two, they're extremely sort of connected, but also very divergent. So my interest started with, like I said, I was 17 when I decided I want to be a politician. It was my first campaign when I was 17. It was 2009, and I was a little kid. I couldn't even vote, so they said, "Yeah, yeah, just do something, and we'll tag you around." But I loved it. I loved the people engagement. I loved the we. I remember there. It was the time when Lalbagh Metro was not yet constructed, and they were looking to acquire a small part of Lalbagh for the metro station. I remember protesting that, but it was an interesting sort of learning experience. The reason I even went to that campaign was, one, because my mother let me choose that campaign because that particular candidate had two daughters. So she was like, okay, she will be safe to some extent, and she went and you know made me speak to those two daughters and said, "These, she is your responsibility now." The reason I went to that campaign was I have grown up in a slightly difficult circumstance. I lost my father when I was 10 years old. My mother has been a single mother. We've had family support, yes, but my father was extremely sick. And I remember growing up in hospitals. That's what I remember. And I remember seeing suffering, grief, loss for a long time. It really impacted me to that level where I started questioning. I know this must have been, as a 10-year-old, those questions were not well formed, but I was still asking those questions like, if my father is here today and not there tomorrow, and if we lose him or we're about to lose him every 3, 4 times in a year, what are we doing? Like, what is the point of this? What is the point of feeling anything or living? Right now, I'm able to articulate it, but as a young child, I was just confused. I sought my purpose in helping people who are born in different circumstances, who are born in difficult circumstances. It just gave me the purpose that there is something to life beyond thinking of oneself. So that's where my public service mindset sort of started. Of course, I was havoc. I was chaos in through my teenage years. I was very lost. I was a troublemaker in my school. But eventually, by the time I went to PUC, I started finding ways to channelize this anger, energy, confusion, whatever it was. And it became more and more apparent that I want to do something that would help this large number of people. So when I asked myself around, PUC this question, what is it that I want to do? It became obvious that we used to always talk about, oh, and I did science, by the way. I studied science in PUC, which I was very angry about. But it was a turning point because I was spending so many hours going to college and I didn't enjoy any of that. Nevertheless, as in the studies part of it, but I did everything else, all the social stuff, all the cultural stuff. So I asked myself, if I am going to create change in people's life, how do I do it? And I think somewhere that, oh, we have great policies, but we don't have good leaders to implement it. There is this, maybe it's some sort of a neurodivergence issue, but you look at a problem and you see this problem, there's no hope. That was politics. This was
Definitely.
around, yeah. This was just before the Anna Hazare movement, say 2 years before the Anna Hazare movement. The feeling was all politicians are bad, politics is bad, nobody good gets into politics. And I think I looked at it and I said, this is it. I've been looking for a channel to help the system, help people through the system. Let me go through systemic change. So that was the trigger, and I remember I gave my first speech on 15th August 2008 in college, and I was like, I'm going to do this for the rest of my life. I'm going to rally people. We took out protests. We do social service in orphanage. It just fulfilled me. Now that still doesn't answer your question about the BJP because it's a very long story, but I'll tell you if you don't. Uh, yeah, if that's what. So I actually worked with a Congress legislator right after I joined my bachelor's degree. he was fantastic. I got so much to learn from him. He was an alumni of my university, so it was an easy connect and learned how politicians work. I wanted to learn on ground, you know. I didn't want to learn superficially. I wanted to go on ground and understand. So we went to, he was from a semi-urban constituency. So I shadowed him for 2, 3 months, learned what that ecosystem meant, what is the role of an MLA, what problems are they solving, what are they supposed to do, not do. It was a shock. I used to wake up at like 6 o'clock drive. It was outskirts of Bengaluru, and spend 2, 3 hours listening to people from different parts of their constituency come together and talk about, you know, my sewage thing is not working or something else is not working. Somebody used to bring family issues like this person in my family is treating me in this way, solve that. And then we, at the weddings and the funerals, the amount of weddings and funerals MLAs go to. But in the midst of all of that, I was able to see tangible changes, you know, how somebody was able to make the system work or how somebody was able to use the system to benefit people's lives. And see, for me and you, for the situation I grew up in also was in Jayanagar, the dependency I had on public service or public utilities, etc., was very minimal. Current bandre, okay, need water, you know, we had a borewell, so privileged in that way. The most was complaining about garbage. But the people that you meet when you go on ground are the ones whose lives are dependent on that ration, whether it is in terms of whether they're getting work or not through Narega, etc., whether they are able to live securely, whether they have a house and roof over their head. So these people who are dependent on the state, that's what really caught my attention. And I said, and that was very interesting to sort of go through. Right after that internship, I think it solidified my thought process that this is really what I want to do. And I remember asking the MLA that I worked with many, many questions that, yeah, that when I think back now, I was such an eager 20-year-old or 19-year-old asking all sorts of idealistic questions. But anyway, right after that, the Anna Hazare protests happened. I don't know if you were probably too young around that time.
Too young,
Yeah.
yeah.
So that was a big moment in the life of many of us from my generation. Freedom Park was the, you just live in Freedom Park thoughts. You bunk college, go to Freedom Park. And I remember the anger, I remember the helplessness that a lot of people had, and you know, that channelized into art and so on and so forth. But I think after that, I ended up in Delhi for something called the Legislative Assistance to Members of Parliament, which is a you get to work with an MP for 1 year. That is where the BJP and the Sangh really started to wane on me. I had a good friend who was from that ecosystem who would ask me these questions on which party, why are you working with a Congress person, what is, you know, what is the larger goal. Till then I was just going, you know, because I was like, I need to understand this space and I want to understand how
And you
things
were,
work.
maybe you are very happy also that you have been involved in the politics
That's
since.
it. Yeah, that was, I mean, I was hungry for more, but at that point, I was just happy to take everything in. But then the larger question started, right? And I had graduated by then, it was my first job. I think the big difference that it was actually Rahul Gandhi. It was that because I don't come from anything in politics. I don't come from, even if I were not in politics, uh, there's nobody opening doors for me, right? I have more to lose in politics than I have to gain because I have no backup. And there's many people like me. There's many people like me, and I think this journey teaches you that it is life is very unfair. Politics is all the more unfair. But that in itself is the reason. When you see a prime minister like Modi and you're able to say that this person went from the railway station selling chai to the type of family that he had to becoming the prime minister, that journey, that ambition, that hunger, that persistence, that perseverance, all of that, that is the point, right? Not to say that people who are from political families have it easy, but the truth of the matter is that yes, slightly, it's true. If my father was an engineer when he was alive, my mother works in a software company, possibly for me to be a software engineer would have been a more straightforward path. Something as simple as this, right? When I come home, when I used to come home from these things and I'd come and speak to my mother, they would not understand. There was a fight for almost 5 to 10 years. Forget first convincing my mother, then the larger circle, my family, my uncles, everybody, and then everybody understanding. Okay, this girl is not lost; she's trying to do something. So for me, when I saw Rahul Gandhi and the fact that he in 2013 he had an he tore ordinance, he had an easy access to the PMO, he was just an MP, and he was supposed to be the next president, prime minister. The question was why? You know?
Yeah, definitely, because there's somebody who's already been thriving for to become the prime minister who's eligible also. But I guess more or less for the BJP, if the BJP didn't wanted to win the elections also, Rahul Gandhi makes them to win the election.
I don't think so. My decision definitely was hinged on that. But when I went into the BJP and the Sangh ecosystem, I learned that, and they say that nation first, party next, and self last. That is so true. Of course, there's a BJP is a political party, and therefore it will function like one and behave like one and has its own flaws. But when it comes to national interest, when it comes to nation, there is a line that gets drawn at the highest level, as well as within the hearts of the Karyakartas. The people who yell at the BJP the most or criticize the BJP most are the people who support the BJP because they want the party to be better. They are concerned about the larger issue. Our identity as a party is not anti Rahul Gandhi. Congress's current identity is anti Modi. Our identity as a party is not around only around Narendra Modi. It is Modi ji has said this himself that he is a vehicle for that. The issues at hand on national security, on national integrity, on the fact matters of development, on Hindutva, all of these are our core ideas, and there are people who have given their lives. Just yesterday, we had Shama Prasad ji's anniversary that we were talking about. It is people who have given their lives for Kashmir, people who have given their lives for elsewhere. Um, the ideology is beyond one person. So Rahul Gandhi enables us to win elections is uh, because he hasn't. I don't think the Congress has figured out the grand old party. See, Congress party was never a party with a very clear ideology. It was a everybody came together during the freedom struggle from different thought processes with the sole intention that they were going to gain India's independence. After that, what was the larger goal? Nehru held it together for some time. You tell me if you would like to jump in.
Definitely, like I guess the family tree dynasty have been continued since the independence. First Nehru, and then Indira Gandhi, and then for some time Rajiv Gandhi also, and then for some time I guess only Lal Bahadur Shastri and Narasimha Rao, and some of them were just a
Placeholders.
slideshow like kind of thing in the for the prime minister
Yeah,
post.
which is very
And then
unfortunate.
when again this Manmohan Singh sir came, was really brilliant an economist, the former finance minister of India, had been treated like a puppet by them. And then I guess Congress, according to me, is very clever in the states rather than in the central, because the high command of the Congress is itself is they are not able to rectify themselves or have a bigger goal for the nation. Rather than that, now I guess in the first 5 years they told that Modi is chore, and then after that, when the development started slowly and the policies came up, and then when again in the next 5 years, the states were also developed and the states were also conquered by Modi. But after 10 years, and usually in India or the state, there will be anti-incumbency. So that is for sure, and we have seen it in the Lok Sabha elections. So the thing is, when the anti-incumbency is there, the nation has to, the political party has to lose the nation, at any cost. Deep down, even I had a thought that even if it's 400 par also, it's like hard to make up the government, because there will be definitely anti-incumbency every 10 years, and in the state of Karnataka every 5 years. Although you make a lot of this thing also, we'll take the Karnataka only as a case study for now. After making so much of the development, Mysore Bangalore highway, and getting so many trains to the Karnataka. Having the full-fledged government to having just 65 seats, BJP lost it all because anti-incumbency, and I guess the tickets were also not been allotted, and those were like practically trialed or something. And I guess when it comes to the seats, BJP is bit of trialing the things, and then somewhere with that overconfidence of trialing the things in the state, it may lose the seats also. So and then after that also in the Lok Sabha, the coalition with the JDS had become so mandatory or thing that it has already won 25 seats alone in Lok Sabha 2019. But in the 2024, deep down, I guess even the BJP knew that there was anti-incumbency. So the party which had backstabbed the BJP at some history had really got it back. So I wanted to take your review on all these. Like, why did it lose to 65, and then what did happen to for this call?
So let me give you a caveat, right? And all your viewers also one disclaimer
Definitely.
that in politics there's black, white, and many, many, many shades of grey. Okay,
Yeah.
there's many, many shades of grey. I sit here speaking about, and my party with a difference, speaks about Parivarvad very strongly. The question we get asked is, are there no dynasts in BJP? Are there no people who are? The fine difference is that within the BJP, the people who have political families still have to measure up to that position. They still have to perform or perish. You don't have a perpetual
बने बनाए खाना खिलाना.
uh, and the political party that the BJP is it ensures that there is a churn of ideas, that there is differences in the way we are thinking, and more so that the Prime Minister's vision is strengthened and percolated across. So now electoral victories and battles, right? The greys that you see in the electoral victories and battles are a lot more. You will say that in Tamil Nadu, the fact that we have not won a single seat is a loss. But for us, the fact that we were able to hit double digit vote share is a big deal. In Karnataka, yes, we had 25 seats in 2019, but the average number of seats that we've always had has always been around 18, 19, right? So 25 was a resounding victory and support for the Prime Minister. Now, were we not able to hold on to that because of anti-incumbency? I would say also because the Congress here in Karnataka has to an extent gotten stronger. Every single minister was given a particular constituency either through their own or through their kith and kin, their relatives. A lot of money was spent. So anti-incumbency against MPs and multiple sitting MPs also were changed here in Karnataka. Anti-incumbency against MPs, sure. Anti-incumbency against the government, maybe. But I think there are other factors as well. There was a big, and we're recording this one day before the 25th of June, which is the day emergency was declared by Indira Gandhi. There was a huge uproar that happened during the election, false propaganda that the Congress went on about how BJP wants to change the constitution. Remember that. And what that translated to a lot of people was that reservation is going to be taken away, or Ambedkar's constitution is going to be changed. This was absolute false propaganda. So the Congress played on this kind of false propaganda across the country and in Karnataka as well. So to say that it was merely anti-incumbency is not true. The BJP has been the party that, with the Janata Parivar, fought against Indira Gandhi's emergency, where constitutional amendments such as the 42nd Amendment was made, where there was something called a mini constitution. The executive's powers were increased, the judiciary's powers were decreased. So the Congress party, Rahul Gandhi standing with constitution, has no moral right to tell us, the most democratic party in this country, what democracy and constitution should be. But a lot of false propaganda, the focus on spending a lot of money, the focus on these guarantees, Also, although we see that the guarantees has not delivered because their MLAs themselves have been saying that. All of these things added up. And this is what I've been saying for many years, is how I like to explain it, which is that in political victory and political performance, there is an equation with many variables. It is not one variable. There are many variables. And those variables are very localized also. Local factors matter, ticket distribution matters. Yes, to a great extent, whether that local leader has support of their own cadre matters, karyakartas, what karyakartas are thinking. If you have all of that also, if there is an incompetent person who is going to be prime minister, then nobody wants to vote, right? In our case, the fact that Pradhana Mantri Prime Minister Modi in his third term is, just today he took oath. In his third term, a historic win. What would be seen as a disappointing win or a disappointing, um some people even say a disappointing loss. I don't know. It's not a loss. We don't see it as that. In the third term that he has, it shows that the last 10 years, the work that we have put in on the basis of development, on the basis of taking this country forward, being the economy with 7% growth when other economies are going at negative, that is the gift. And the question on JDS, right? See, the JDS and BJP are inherently parties that have similar thinking because they were formed during the Jayaprakash Narayan JP movement. They are inherently anti-Congress parties. Something that maybe our generation has not seen as much is what happened to this country under Congress rule, and why the Congress, which was at 400 once, has now come down to 99. The Gandhi family, their atrocities that they have committed, all from Indira Gandhi to Nehru, Nehru to Indira Gandhi to Rajiv to Sanjay Gandhi to Rahul Gandhi, Sonia Gandhi, the mindset and that they have, we have seen 10 years of BJP. So maybe we have forgotten Congress centric sort of politics and policy. But JDS and BJP were inherently anti-Congress parties that were formed. Even in old Mysore region, where the JDS is most dominant, it was always JDS versus Congress. So they had an issue with each other's uh, way of functioning and their thought process, and their karyakartas did not get along. Whereas in our situation, it has been opposite. Just a few days ago, we had a joint ceremony to thank the BJP and JDS MPs, or not thank, but to celebrate them for their winning. So we work well together. So it was not a, oh my god, if we don't do this, we will, in Tamil Nadu, for example, AIDMK and BJP alliance did not happen. Probably would have been easier in the short term. For us, it was in the long term, what are the type of issues we want to pick up, which are the regions that we want to expand in, and the fact that there is a Congress government in the state that is unrelentingly corrupt and using all sorts of divisive tactics. That was a political move that was required.
So when we speak about the guarantees, we all know that by giving the guarantees, and it's an open fact that the economy have drowned and there is a debt of 1,53 crores to the state which was already flourished and giving back the economy to the country and contributing to the country. So is there any BJP activity that has been driven to make sure that people are aware of this? Because the main target of Congress is not so educated people, and then the women who take these guarantees very seriously and vote them easily. So when somebody puts you on vote, like my father was traveling to one of this Chippagiri near Andhra Pradesh last time. So he told me that the Jagan Mohan's government have really just given the money and there's no road, nothing at all, and the car was almost the engine was heated due to that roads. So I guess in this years, if the government has not been fallen down, or if it continues to next 4 years also, then I guess Karnataka is more or less going to be in the such state itself. And is there anything BJP working on to make sure the awareness of this economic downfall?
Yeah, so we have definitely been on our feet protesting the fuel price hike that is that happened recently, hike in a lot of different things. There is plans to monetize a lot of government land. See, with the thing with the guarantees, I don't agree with the less educated people or literate people or women only benefiting and blindly voting. I think that's a uh, people who need it, people who definitely really need it, if they are getting welfare from the state, that is a good thing. And the Prime Minister himself, the BJP, has been in support of tempered rational welfareism for a great extent, right? In the center also, Ujjwala Yojana. I mean, these are welfare-based measures. What is it that differentiates these guarantees? If you are saying that every woman in a particular household gets, that's how they sold it in the
Yeah,
beginning,
yeah, 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 definitely.
right? Every unemployed youth gets X amount of money. Every woman gets free travel. There needs to be some targeting. There needs to be some thought process. There needs to be some long-term thinking. Now, there is a new scheme that the central government has launched, Suryoday Yojana, which says that if we will give you subsidized electricity, what you need to do in return is put solar rooftops, and therefore you become self-sustaining. Some thought process. We are not, there is no unlimited supply of government revenue. Where is, what is government revenue? It's finally taxpayers' money and different ways in which revenue is generated, right? There is no unlimited supply. So you have to be a prudent financial strategist and financial manager. Sidramaiah, who is known to have presented 14 budgets, Budget Brahma, and this is his mode of working, by the way. In 2000, I think, S.M. Krishna's government, just after Sidramaiah was the finance minister of the state under JDS, S.M. Krishna's government released a white paper showing how Sidramaiah's finance handling was exactly this: high subsidy bill, leading to higher fiscal and revenue deficit. Revenue generation did match up, and the economy was in a mess. S.M. Krishna, Congress chief minister, wrote this white paper. So the problem we have with the way that the Congress government is looking at welfareism is that it is a politics only strategy. It is not something for people's development. Recently, there was a study that showed Shakti scheme ensured that there was profits or higher revenue, not so profits, sorry, higher revenue for KSRTC. When you account revenue, you don't account the subsidy component. You increase the subsidy and then you say, okay, there's more revenue. That is what Congress is doing. There is a political strategist who sat down before the election and said, if we sell these things packaged in this particular way, we will, convince people. And now people are asking for what was promised. You saw those long lines of women, right, especially from the minority Muslim
Yes, yes.
community, standing asking for that 1 lakh that Rahul Gandhi promised.
Promised.
Yeah. So the need clearly, especially among certain groups, is there for this. And you play on that, then you promise these five guarantees and a bill of 58,000 and 58,000 lakh crores, and then there is a lack of funds to allocate for other things. Your own MLAs, own Congress MLAs have come out after the election and said that what is the point of funding these guarantees? It didn't give us any electoral benefit. It didn't give us anything, that was, oh wow. So there is mere politics with people's aspirations. There is not delivery of it. And the two most expensive, Gruha Lakshmi and probably Shakti, these two. Look, there needs to be a welfare economics means that there needs to be some long term benefit that comes out of it. Of course, it is important for people to be well fed every day, ensure that people have 2 meals a day, 3 meals a day. But you cannot continue to just give people fish and not teach them to fish, right? That's a quote that exists. Finally, we need to get skills. You need to invest in uh, The infrastructure, no development in Karnataka. Where is the what new projects have started? Where are the roads that were promised? Now they want to build a tunnel road in Bangalore. That is where it's going to. So there is no vision, and it's not going to come crashing down in 4 years. It has already crashed. UNED application went into lakhs. Only some few thousand people got benefit. So this is, and one of the important things that happened, this was a known thing within political circles, was that a lot of the money before the election got combined and given. Each, instead of giving monthly, they combined a few months and gave before the election. This is pure politics. This is very, very cheap level politics that the Congress government is playing. The BJP is on the streets, we are on social media, we're everywhere talking about it. And the fight against this, the intensity under the presidency of B.Y. Vijayendra will get even more aggressive. You will see in the assembly um, more conversation on this matter. And it took some time, to be very honest, because people also had to see.
Definitely. The people should be educated about all of these and how it's drowning the economy and stuff. And then, really, the first thing, not only me personally also, but the whole country has this question: why did BJP lost the majority seats in the Uttar Pradesh? Even after making whole of the developments and everything, Ayodhya itself BJP lost the tickets. So there is some conspiracy that comes out in the social media or the media articles in the online stating that the high command purposefully declined the 35 tickets which were proposed by Yogi Adityanath because of his popularity or something that he's going to be the prime minister next, and Amit Shah wanted to be the prime minister on his part. So this is not my question. This is the question of whole social media and then the media articles also.
See, it's speculation, the conspiracy theories, all of these that are happening in the election, right? It keeps people entertained to a great extent. And the truth, unfortunately, is a complexity of things. Just as I told you about everything else, there are lots of grades. No political party will go into an election and say, okay, now we are going to do everything we can to lose. Of course, Rahul Gandhi, that's a whole other thing. But the BJP does not function like that. Even if you are, if you are at odds with somebody, not you solve the problem, you sort it out, and then nobody loses seats. Will you?
Adding on to that conspiracy, the thing was like BJP almost won in all the states, including Karnataka, with whatever the expectations were, and Madhya Pradesh, of course, it's full seats are from there, and then the non-expected states also won BJP. But when it came to Uttar Pradesh, it didn't perform well. So that was also an adding point to this conspiracy.
No, I get it. Again, see, Uttar Pradesh at the end of the day is the largest state in terms of numbers, and therefore, when Uttar Pradesh doesn't perform as per expectation, then there is always that concern, right? Now, with Ayodhya, Faizabad Lok Sabha constituency has multiple different constituencies within assembly constituencies. We've won some, we've lost some. I don't think there should be a direct correlation. The larger question is, why did we lose Uttar Pradesh, and why did, or I'm not going to say lose Uttar Pradesh, why did we get fewer seats than
Fewer seats here.
expected in Uttar Pradesh, right? And one of the big things that a lot of TV commentators and everybody else says is the way to Lok Sabha is through UP because of the huge number of chunk of seats that come from there. The issue was less about um, fights between XYZ or imagined fights between XYZ, but somewhere our on ground strategy did not anticipate or react correctly to the consolidation, the reverse consolidation that was happening between Yadavs and Dalits, those
Okay.
communities, right? We had probably got that wrong because before, when BSP and SP were together, then the number of seats was close to three, I think 3 or 4 seats was uh, that's what we had lost. Whereas this time, because a lot of the Dalits and the SC communities voted with the SP, there was some reverse consolidation that happened. Now, it's a large state, it's a large uh, um, demographic diversity is high. Somewhere that organizational work did not pull through. Whose fault is that, or who takes the blame? That is for our party leaders to sit down and think through and understand. This is being done to pull somebody down or not pull somebody down. I think that's a very short sighted sort of thing to think about, because in the longer run, nobody can keep anybody down. If they are meant to be somewhere else, they're going to.
And the next thing is that you have already told that BJP has its own flaws also. That's very good thing, that accepting that the party has flaws. So, what went wrong in this NEET thing? And although it was the paper was leaked by the opposition leaders, I would agree with that, directly or indirectly. But still, why wasn't that kept on a high security, or is it so easy for the paper leak, even if the government is BJP? I would agree with the Congress, because when my brother was writing, one of my cousin was writing chemistry paper, he had written it 4 times. So I thought that no, BJP when it comes,
Look,
that's
I
not the
love
thing.
this high standard that a lot of people have about BJP as it's across. This is a very interesting observation that I think somebody, I'm not sure who, but people are okay with Congress being corrupt and inefficient, but they can't. BJP is has to be really good at everything and perfect. I think that's great. That's the standard we should be held to. With the NEET situation, first and foremost, it's very sad that this is the distress that has caused for a lot of students. We've all been students, and it's not fun taking and retaking examinations and being under that pressure. So it's very disappointing and very sad. Now, when I said that there were flaws within the BJP or that we accept, of course, there are flaws within any political party, any person. But I don't mean to say that that is true for the government, right? In government, you don't have that luxury of doing,
Flaws.
yeah, making mistakes. So I don't believe that this was merely the steps that have been taken since this NEET controversy became apparent, in terms of ensuring that the bureaucrat was in charge was transferred, reprimanded, ensuring that there have been strict action taken at people who erred. Rajasthan, where there was which was the epicenter of a lot of the paper leaks, there, even though there's a state government of the Congress party, a lot of action has been taken. Data security and etc. has been amped up. There's a bill in place to ensure that this doesn't happen again. Question paper leaks have been traditionally a big issue, especially in a lot of states like Bihar, for example, where it's a known theme, right? So these measures that the government has taken, I think, is the right way forward and the right way to happen. Now, why it happened or not is something that we will have to put an inquiry committee and find out. If it was organized, what it is coming across is that this was an organized racket, right? So the perpetrators have to be held accountable. These sort of instances occur not because somebody at top or not because a government is less vigilant, but sometimes when you're running such a large country, some loopholes are exploited. If there was a mistake from all the way on top, then you can blame the party and the government. But this was a bureaucratic issue with a lot of different factors and complexities that is being handled the right way by the education minister. So I would urge everybody, especially the students who are writing the examination, to have that persistence, and things will get cleared. There is the confidence that I can give you, right? And that is what the expectation is. In Karnataka, when grace marks were given out to SSLC, and then there was a huge issue with even the PUC examinations, there was no confidence building measure. But I think in this situation, the ministry as well as a lot of leaders have come out and said that we will correct this, we will ensure things will become all right. And all this negative news that the opposition is pushing, as well as the politicization of it, is very unfortunate. This is students' lives that needs to be kept in mind. Complete confidence being given by the education minister, as well as the different people in charge that there will be a proper exam conducted and the due results will be out.
So, and then this is the state question.
Hmm.
So,
I think we'll have to do the last question.
yeah, definitely. So this was the last topic also.
Yes.
So, it's just said that BJP is cares less about or careless about the Kalyan Karnataka part. And when it comes to the ministry distribution, only one ministry or two maximum has been given. So when the BJP is in the state, so there will be conspiracies that we want a north part of Karnataka or like that. But when it comes to the Congress, they distribute it in the right way and make sure that the things happen. You know how the thing works,
Tell me
system.
something. Distributed in the right way means that Priyank Karge gets a seat.
It's not only about Priyank Kharge. It's about Shan Prakash Patil and Darshanapur also. When there are three ministers overall, and then the
So
positions.
tell me the thing that beyond BJP and Congress, let's talk. I will take my spokesperson hat out for a minute.
Okay.
Okay. The reason we are having this conversation is because we met in
Yeah,
Karnataka. Right? I am
definitely.
very passionate about traveling across Karnataka, whether it's Karavali, whether it's Kalyan Karnataka, Madhya Karnataka, elsewhere. The point is that let us not measure whether the BJP does justice or the Congress does justice merely by who gets ministership. What have the ministers done? That is the question to ask. And why should a region be fighting for what is rightfully theirs? The news that I've been seeing coming out of Kalburgi in the last couple of days about students not having access to basic facilities in their schools, per capita income being significantly lower, compared to rest of Karnataka. The fact that there has been so much tragic news that happen as if we just don't even look for a second. If the same thing had happened in Bengaluru, if the same thing had happened in a different city in Karnataka, Mangalore or maybe Hubli to an extent, then hue and cry would have been higher. The situation is such that it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter the political equation. Why is it that anybody who is elected from Kalburgi it has to be said again and again that do something for your region. It's supposed to happen just like
I'll
that.
just give you an example of whatever I have faced. I've spoken in the function also, and I'll tell you now. We had spoken about the startup ecosystem and stuff because I know that because I'm a part of it. So when I was in the college back then in Mysore, Mysore had the Mysore cluster, Mysore had the KTech, Mysore had the KDM facility, Mysore had the Beyond Bangalore facility, but us we weren't restricted to those parts because there was none of us who would raise voice, and the local leaders were also not so upheld. I would definitely tell this also openly. We wouldn't have went there, and then we would have got the funds or something like that. And the Beyond Bangalore was only meant to Shimoga and the Mangalore and Mysore clusters, and there were no cluster built also. I had personally given a letter to the person because in Mysore it's very well developed offices, and where I stay in Mysore, the office, the incubation center from NI, it's really very well developed and would appreciate that. People do visit in my office. Sudha Murthy have come, Narayan Murthy have come, and officials visit there. So correspondently I asked them, sir, why don't we have a facility there? Because the rules and everything policies were framed back in 2019. When the policies have been framed, the rules have been framed, why is it not implemented in our part of the Karnataka? And all the clusters have been made. So what he told me was the reference wasn't taken up, so the issue wasn't raised. So
So, what is
when
the point of having three ministers, two ministers, one minister, when there is no willingness to fight for the region? Forget Priyank Karge, right? Your senior Karge is the party president of the Congress. He should be showcasing his constituency as a model constituency to the world. The opposite has happened, right? So my only point is, and we'll wrap up with this, is that I say this about women as well. Great, we have 33% right now. It was required to ensure that we have that first bump in increase in, from the last Lok Sabha to this Lok Sabha, there has been a percentage decline in the number of women in the Lok Sabha. It is not enough. to have somebody just representing you in a position of power. That person has to have the intent to do better. It is not enough to merely have 33% women. Those women have to have the capability, the passion, the thirst, the hunger, the right intent. If the intent is only I'm going to be in politics so that I will be there for 7 terms and then my son, daughter can be there for another 15 terms, no, that doesn't serve anybody well. It is important. So let's talk a little beyond politics, right? The fact that today I feel very proud that I say it out loud on social media very often that I like to visit different parts. I think beyond Bengaluru, in order for the fact that knowing that I want to be in state politics for a good amount of time, I need to know the pulse of the region. If I was not in, Grande Bengaluru, I wouldn't have understand that they had certain issues that needed to be addressed. In Mangalore, there was no port. That's been a big issue. That's been a big anger. In Kalburgi, the potential amongst young people came across to me as wow, there's so much you can do. Educational institutions in Kalburgi that I saw. I always thought Dharwad was the education hub, but what I saw in Kalburgi was different, right? So this sort of first get out of that Bangalore mindset. Second, Bangalore can't. There's no going. No, you can't handle anymore. And regional clusters have to be given the priorities in terms of their what their strengths are. So I think, to me, before it becomes a political problem, this should be a societal problem to a great extent, which is that you and I should not be settling for any less. I follow random pages on different things related to Kalburgi, different things related to Kudla, to understand the pulse. There is so much aspiration everywhere. Regional development is incredibly important. You and I should not be settling for less. What you told me about, how you went and spoke to people in Mysore after seeing what happened in Mysore, that is the same sort of behavior that you should encourage from your friends. I know a lot of people who choose to stay back in their hometowns and work better. Right? So that one generation really has to push. And having said that, we have to elect better representatives. That's just, I don't know, sometimes it really does work. It takes a lot. Um, it really takes a lot, but sometimes it works. Most times it really works when you do it with that sort of trust.
One thing I really want to thank you. First is for coming to my show, and the second thing is we spoke about all these issues in the function, right? After that, many of the people approached me, many around those or after those, and we got that there was some potential done. And you believe it or not, there's a person called as Ravindra Tengli who had came to the function, and I didn't know about that. There's a very this historic kind of thing, NV Society. I guess you know that if you have visited. There was no incubation center or startup that has been set up in the NV Society. I and Ravindra Tengli sir met up there after the function in the recent week. I guess while uploading this thing, my office would have been inaugurated in the NV.
That's great.
So, I am personally have taken that challenge to make sure that the region grows. And apart from that, what the MOU states that this NV society is not so privileged one, or it has the courses and it is got with the good faculties, but not upgraded version of that. So I and sir have collectively set up the incubation center inside the NV society, and then I have promised the NV society that I would be teaching entrepreneurship to any number of students that they bring from 5 to 7 o'clock in the evening, so that people would get that encouragement of being an entrepreneur rather than coming to Bangalore or Mysore
Fantastic. This is such great news.
and then getting into the ideation and everything. And the process itself took a month, I would definitely agree, because there are set of hierarchies which we have to convince. And with the God's grace and the meetings which happen there tremendously, there is a privileged institute also in the Kalburgi which I wanted to choose, and then last moment I got a call from the same community where we met, and then I spoke for 5 minutes, I guess, in that speech where you had come. So that was my first speech, and I guess it had made an impact also. So once that had been completed, so I got a call that you come here, let's do it here itself. It's more underprivileged, so let's give this. So I have promised them that we'll be teaching them the technical education, the coding and everything. And then apart from that, entrepreneurship shall also be taught as a free subject. I will be personally doing it every day from 5 to 7. And apart from that, I've told that there is no placement activities also going on. So let's cherish that also. Then we'll make sure that anywhere we are hiring from anywhere. So we will hire it from your institute and across the Kalyan Karnataka, and make sure that we have to give training to everybody. So I guess at least 10% people were also enthusiastic. That would be a big number for us.
10% is a huge number. You have no idea how happy I am listening to you talk about this, because this is it. Somebody like you who has seen what it is elsewhere and demands better for their own. And one of the things I remember from that program was that everybody there was not sitting and crying and saying nothing's happening, nothing's happening. They were like, we have so much to give. We want to do more. This is amazing news. I'm going to take this opportunity of coming on your podcast to give a shout out to your initiative. And I know that there's a lot of people in my network who are entrepreneurs, who have access to TIE, who have access to NASCOM, who have access to all sort of, look at what is happening in Kalburgi, support them. Let's raise some money. That's what
Definitely.
it is finally all about, and ensure that more people are supporting this initiative. So once we have everything in place, you should come back to this community and network, and maybe 5 years down the line, we'll be talking about a different approach that could work in many of
Definitely.
these
And I
places.
have promised the sir also that if in next 3 years, students will definitely, if we have 2 or 3 startups coming in every 6 months also, I will make sure that we'll compete with NI at some point of time, and we'll bring the funding and we'll make sure that the startups grew from my region also.
Fantastic. That's
So,
it. That's
yeah,
that's what it is. The intent. That's what matters the most. I'm so happy to hear. Congratulations and all the best.
thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you for
Thank you.
coming to our show.